Hello, Chef Guiliano here, and I'm your chef on a mission. Today's mission is more about salmon or food fraud, or, I'm in Vegas right now. So I've had the opportunity to walk in and actually eat at a lot of really awesome restaurants here. Restaurants that are run by world-class chefs with their names on them, attached to them. Places like Rick Moon. We went to Bouchon last night, which is Thomas Keller's restaurant. And people put these guys on pedestals. The consumer puts them on pedestals. The staff puts them on pedestals, and we automatically think that because they're a celebrity chef and they're charging you all this money that they're doing the right thing. We think that they're taking care of the environment. We think they're buying the right ingredients, and all these chefs preach high quality ingredients. If you read Thomas, I guarantee if you read Thomas Keller, any of his books, he's going to tell you ingredients matter. Ingredients matter. Start with the best ingredients, and that's the key to making good. That's the first step to making good food. So I'm sitting in the restaurant, I'm looking through things, and he has a trout dish on the menu. And I just simply asked, how is the trout dish? We were with 6 people. I asked how, I wasn't asking if it was farm raised or wild or this, that. I said, how's the trout dish? And the waiter responded, oh, it's great, it's from Idaho, and it's sort of like wild. And I go, so that prompted me to say, so what do you mean it's sort of like wild? And he says, well, yeah. He goes, yeah, it's the closest thing like you can get to wild. I'm like, so you're saying that it's like wild, but it's not wild. It's farmed, but it's wild? And he was like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, you're saying it's close to wild, but it's probably farmed. I'm assuming it's farmed. So if it's farmed, what is it eating? And he's like, well, I don't really know. I said, does the food have pesticides in it? Does the food, do they apply anything to the trout? What exactly is in the pellets? Is there GMO corn? And he goes, well, yeah, the pellets probably have. I was like, so you're saying that real wild natural trout eat GMO corn, or they eat pesticides or preservatives in the food? And he's like, and he caught him, and I was like, listen, I've been in this industry for a long time. I know what's going on. I understand the backside. I said, if this is a farm-raised trout, which you're pretty sure that it is, but it's like natural trout. I said, you can't have both. You can't have something that's farm-raised that's like natural. It doesn't work. And he goes, oh, wow, I didn't. He goes, well, if Thomas Keller knew this, it wouldn't be on our menu. And I said, interesting you say that, because I see you have salmon here. Where's the salmon from? He goes, Scotland. I said, interesting, because Scotland produces some of the world's most toxic salmon. It is by far loaded with chemicals. They definitely have spare pig parts in there, spare chicken parts. They grind down feathers. I said, that's the industry in general. That's what they do. I said, it's loaded with a Monsanto chemical as a preservative to food, just because you have to. I said, the fish are sitting, and I went down the whole rundown of what's wrong with farmed salmon. And he was like, the guy was shocked. The waiter, he goes, why? He goes, I've been in this business for 30 or 40 years. He goes, I'm shocked. And I said, I'm not shocked. That's just the likelihood of it. But you have these chefs, these celebrity chefs, that people just assume, and the staff there just assumes, well, if Thomas Keller knew that was in there, he wouldn't be serving it. And yet, so there's a chance that Thomas Keller's buying a salmon from a slightly better farm, but the problem with farmed salmon is there's no right way to do the wrong thing. I just got a press release today from Don Sanaford from salmonfarmingkills.com and the Aquaculture Alliance there in Scotland. He's one of the biggest activists out there. The salmon farms are ruining the landscape in Scotland. The locals don't want them there. The tons of diseases that are spreading into the wild, they're killing off the wild fish. There's barely any wild salmon left as a direct result of the salmon farms. I think the mortality rate, just the overall mortality rate in general, I got this figure the other day from another scientist that emailed me some facts. The overall mortality rate throughout all the salmon farms in Scotland is like over 20%. That means over 20% of fish are just dying because there's disease in the pens, and that's just a blanket overall. So it doesn't matter what farm you're supporting out there. There was another thing I was watching the other day, how they were dumping raw salmon sewage into salmon blood, salmon sewage into the bay there, and the stench was amazing. Stench was terrible, actually, and the locals didn't know anything about it, but you could smell that something was wrong. So salmon companies like Marine Harvest, Cook Aquaculture, these companies are notorious for not caring about the environment, not caring about what they're doing. They're there for a profit. That's the bottom line. So I know that Thomas Keller is a smart guy, Chef Thomas Keller. He's run some of the best restaurants in the country. He has some of the best restaurants, French Laundry. He has Per Se in New York City. I don't think Thomas Keller should be serving farmed Scottish salmon, farmed Norwegian salmon. I don't think Thomas Keller should be serving any farmed salmon. I don't care what farmed salmon it is. And I think that his staff is just assuming that, oh, well, Thomas Keller knew this. Thomas Keller has the access to all this. Thomas Keller has this. But the neat thing about, or the bad thing about these chefs like Rick Moon, Tom Colicchio, Charlie Palmer, Herbert Keller, these chefs can be very influenced by big brands, by these companies, and they can say, here's a sponsorship. Our salmon's the best in the world, or our salmon's fantastic, this is what we do. Oh, and by the way, here's a sponsorship. Do you know it's commonplace for a lot of restaurants to actually take money from the producer if you put their name on their menu? Remember, Jamie, what friends were telling us in their restaurant? They actually get money to put the name of and I only thought that celebrity chefs or chefs that had bigger notoriety were able to do this, but I guess other restaurants are too. There's a contract, right? It's like you want to put like XYZ Salmon Farm on your menu in certain restaurants. The company, that salmon farm, actually has a budget to pay for that. It's an advertising expense, and they will pay the restaurant, whether it's $500 or $2,000 or whatever it is in the case of these bigger chefs, thousands and thousands of dollars. That's the reality of what's happening. So people can be swayed easily by money, and these chefs, and they know, these salmon farms know to go in and target the high-profile chefs. Because again, if Thomas Keller and Rick Moon and Charlie Palmer are serving farmed salmon, it must be okay, despite that the industry's riddled with diseases and downfalls and destroying communities and the environment, the ecosystem, and whales are starving because there's not enough wild salmon, and bears. They go after these big shot chefs because they know that people are just going to assume, oh, Thomas Keller, if he knew that, he wouldn't be serving it. This is a much better quality. That's not the case, folks. When you go to a restaurant, no matter what restaurant it is, if you care about the environment and you care about wild salmon and you this or that, call these chefs out. Call these chefs out. Somebody tweet this video to Thomas Keller. Let's see if Thomas Keller has an answer for this. And maybe Thomas Keller's doing the right thing. Maybe his trout is really wild, but the salmon's not wild. And I'm sure that he would love to be able to answer and justify himself on a comment here on why he is supporting something like farmed salmon, toxic Scottish farmed salmon on a menu where he's getting big bucks. Thomas Keller, you are a role model to a lot of people, to your staff. Your staff, they spoke very highly of you. A lot of young chefs speak very highly of you. A lot of consumers, your books are fantastic. I love your books. I would totally eat in any of your restaurants. But I got to tell you, farmed salmon, I'm not impressed, Thomas Keller. I'm Chef Marcus Guiliano. Thanks for watching. If you like my videos, please hit like, subscribe, leave some comments, and until next time.